Now, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. Lord knows I do. But let's be for real. In the same category as Angela Bassett, Angela Bassett should have won that. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. I'm back, bitches. It's Mr. Fox's season 4 of the I Refuse podcast, available on all streaming platforms. It's been about 5 months, but I had to get up on this thing because clearly y'all have not been acting right 3 months into 2023. I did not watch the Academy Awards last night. At this point, you really don't need to because y'all spoil everything before the night's over. So there I was this morning, Monday morning, watching little clips on TikTok and catching up on Twitter. And the positives is that Brendan Fraser won. Greatest comeback story in my lifetime. Been a fan of his since school days. That's like a pre-Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, pre-fame Chris O'Donnell supporting role. Brendan Fraser in the lead. Brendan Fraser won for, I believe, lead actor in a drama for The Whale, which is on my list. Given the fact that he was blackballed from the industry for allegedly speaking out on the assault he endured at the hands of a white executive. You know, the Harvey Weinstein stuff. Harvey Weinstein type of assault is not only just happening male to female, the assaults are also happening male to male. And then on top of that, a very bitter, acrimonious divorce. She wiped him clean, yada, yada, yada. Love that Brendan Fraser's back in the conversation. Love that on top of that, he gets his first Oscar in a lead role after giving us some of the most iconic roles in the 90s. Another positive from the night, one of The Goonies. I'm a Goonie for life. One for best supporting actor in a drama or a comedy or something. Ken Yao Ooh, probably got his name wrong, but I know his face. Love that production set it up to where Harrison Ford gave one of the big awards to Everything, Everybody, All at Once, which this particular actor's in. Because 40 years ago, Harrison Ford and this particular actor worked in one of the Indiana Jones movies together. Of course, that was around the same time as the Goonies movie. Me being a Goonie for life, that filled my heart. What else happened last night from what I saw this morning? The big thing is, as it should be, well, Tim's girl, love that you were extra. Love the dryer sheet outfit. But I'm sure the man that had to stick his neck out the whole entire evening to look at the stage and figure out what was going on in front of you is probably going to send you a bill by the end of the week from his chiropractor. Love that Tim's was there. Love that Rihanna performed. I think those kind of songs work best at award shows, even if the studio recording is not the favorite. A lot of us were hoping for Rihanna's big comeback to be a bigger song, but we still got to win to where Rihanna got to perform live at the Oscars. Don't see too many of our performers doing that. So I had to get up on here and really, I talked about part of this on this week's episode on the podcast. We're on 8 streaming platforms. I Refuse Podcast. Season 4, we're about 23 episodes into season 4 right now. If you got Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're on those two. The I Refuse Podcast. You see my face. I'm sitting on a black stool in a white shirt with blue words that says "not sorry." That's the image. Can't miss it. I also have the usual suspects with one of my good girlfriends and one of my more popular guests on the I Refuse podcast in history. Abstract Sagittarius is the name that she goes by, her stage name. It's called The Usual Suspects, is the name of the podcast. We're going to drop a new episode this week. There's roughly about 6 out there. Also have the I Refuse Podcast After Dark. So going into the Academy Awards, and I'm setting this up to go into the Angela Bassett thing. Going into the Academy Awards, this probably slipped past y'all. There was some release of comments that were made by anonymous voters / actors that are part of the voting committee. And a couple of the comments that stuck out were things around how wokeness culture has essentially taken away from the industry and kind of leveraged some things in our favor. And apparently this particular anonymous voting person, actor, has some things to say about, in Viola Davis's direction, I guess, probably using her as an example, and one white female director, where it's like, it's gotten to a point to where people are causing so much of a riffraff over, black actor or black actress not being nominated. And they wanted to reiterate that, no, it could be just they weren't good that year. We have 5 other nominees to go over. We have other movies to consider. And not everybody's going to be up for eligibility. Some people didn't make the 5 spots in the category, yada, yada, yada. Fine. Could have just left it at that. Cool with that, even though that's kind of pandering and patronizing in my opinion. I'm not one that's above pulling my weight, or a person should pull their weight, or merit, or whatever. I am most curious as to what the metrics is, or the barometer that they're judging artists or actors or performers against to get them placed into these categories. But it didn't stop there. So it went into a direction to where they were belly aching against us. It was like, Viola Davis, sit down. You didn't get nominated this time. You got 2, you're good. And that little white director over there. And it was just like, this is the kind of attitude and the kind of languaging that gets a lot of people in hot water. And not just like the Academy Awards, but in all spaces. There is a thing called tact. There is a way to convey a particular message that doesn't lean into anti-blackness, right? So here you have, mind you, this is the same like Academy Awards, Oscar, Golden Globe committee that in the early 90s, when Holly Hunter and Angela Bassett were in the same category, right? Holly Hunter it was the lead acting category at the Academy Awards, I believe. Holly Hunter was in it for the piano. Angela Bassett was in it for What's Love Got to Do with It, right? Holly Hunter won that year. Not just over the other 3 or 4 nominees in the category, but over Angela Bassett, who was in it for What's Love Got to Do with It. Now, the movie alone, very, 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 very deep. But the role that she played of Tina Turner, who doesn't just appeal to like black audiences, like Tina Turner is a big name. Therefore, the role in the life is just as huge. When you think of, and by this time now, I'm pretty sure back then everybody was aware of the magnitude that Angela Bassett went to get into the role. Not just prepare for it from an acting standpoint, but like the physicality, the physical nature of the role, scenes, and what everything that particular life, that role, that movie warrants, right? So here you have Angela Bassett, who had to portray Tina Turner from, naive country girl under the thumb of a money-hungry, manipulative mother, who is then in the blinding eye of the dollar sign, allows her teenage daughter the opportunity to perform on the road for Ike Turner. And we all know the story. For her to play innocence, naivete of a teenage girl from the South, to go through the second era of Tina's life where she is in survival mode. She has to go from playing a battered, emotionally exhausted woman, wife, mother, to the superstar committed to the artistry and the talent. Tina Turner as a live performer alone takes a lot. So the emotional weight of the role requires 1,000% investment. And I'm pretty sure, even just watching the movie, which is roughly 2 hours long, that Angela Bassett had to go through a lot. Outside, just outside of the physical nature. And there have been some conversation as to, injuries she's endured from the fighting scenes, having to perform in different facets, different venues, smaller spaces, bigger spaces, taking on the abuse, doing the performance, and as a viewer watching her disappear in that role, to lose the Academy Award nomination to someone who portrayed a mute in a movie. Then, to last night, give not only a performance that is to the Angela Bassett standard that we've all come to know and love, to not only carry a movie that's just solely on your back, whether it's for a limited amount of screen time or the entire duration of the movie, because there isn't another star, you know, in the movie outside of Angela Bassett. To lose it to Jamie Lee Curtis. Love Jamie Lee Curtis. She's probably one of my more likable, non-problematic white people in my life. You know, her, Dolly Parton, Cher, Reba McEntire. Like, it's a short list. And Jamie Lee Curtis is on there. Love Halloween. Love True Lies. My mom loves Fish Called Wanda. We both love Trading Spaces. Like, Jamie Lee Curtis is no slouch. But let's be for real. Like, I saw bits and pieces of everything, everybody all at once. I would have been just fine with the people of color getting the wins, and they did. You know, Michelle Yeoh, the guy that was a former Goonie, I don't want to fuck up his name. Great with that. I just this didn't particularly stand out for me as an award-winning role in Jamie Lee Curtis's catalog. And we're talking about in the same universe that continues to play in Angela Bassett's face. Like, Angela Bassett as the Queen in the first Wakanda movie, and then to come back and do the second one in the cloud of Chadwick Boseman's passing. And you feel that being channeled through her performance. Like, hasn't she done enough? And going back to what the Academy Award voter was implying and the direction he was going and some of the stuff he had been saying towards Viola Davis's direction, it's like, even if you don't agree or feel that Angela Bassett was, I guess, not strong or presentable enough or whatever metrics y'all use to measure performance, there is a plethora of other talent that they probably don't even look at that look like us or are from Africa or Jamaica, other countries that could have really did the damn thing. And the thing about it is, like, they'd been using Angela Bassett. Like, while it's not uncommon for them to, like, get people to win the SAG, win the Golden Globe, win Critics' Choice, like all these awards leading up to the big one, that have people thinking, oh, well, if she's going to get all these, she's a shoo-in for the Academy Award. And I'm pretty sure Angela Bassett and Courtney B. Vance were of the mindset, especially this stage in their careers, where it was just like, oh, well, you know, they got me in here. I won all these other awards. I played the game, promoted the hell out of the movie, fulfilled my contract. Like, Angela Bassett was everywhere. The second Wakanda movie was everywhere. Couldn't honestly tell you, like, where did I see Jamie Lee Curtis promoting the movie? And that's the other thing, is like, y'all been clowning Monique for the contract thing, and it's like, they really will try to milk you past your contractual obligation. And Monique did her contractual obligation, won the Academy Award. Then they wanted her to go and do some other stuff abroad during the holidays, and she said no thank you. And they were playing in her face from that moment forward. So it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's like, the response right now, as it always is like, oh, well, we got to show up to the BET Awards. We got to do more. We got to do this. It's like, when are y'all going to realize that we're working within a system and y'all want us to exhaust all this energy in this system that is not inherently in our favor. Like, it's just not going to be good enough. Like, at this point, does Angela Bassett have to start doing foreign films? We got to start really recognizing and seeing her range. Because Angela Bassett has the catalog, and she doesn't do movies that strictly appeal to urban audiences. White people know who Angela Bassett is, and I'm willing to bet that they know who she is 95% of the time from What's Love Got to Do with It. But yet and still, the white people continue to play in her face. It's a mixed bag for me. I intentionally skipped the Academy Awards because I knew it was going to be some shit. Good for the people of color that won. Great to see Harrison Ford there, looking good, looking scrumptious, even in his 80s. But we got to stop playing Angela Bassett's face. And then on top of that, continue to punch down on other great black actresses. Like, y'all save and spare Halle Berry. She hasn't had a decent movie since Monsters Ball. And I still stay 10 toes down with the fact that that really wasn't an Academy Award performance. Maybe the scene where she saw her son's dead body, maybe a little bit. But again, it's like, I think that was a political move because Denzel won. And the thing about it is, like, he won for a role playing a crooked cop. Almost won for playing Frank Lucas in American Gangster. But it's like, they'll revere you as long as you play into a particular stereotype. Downtrodden, black woman, husband went to death row, got killed. She ends up in a one-night stand that I guess happens to turn into a relationship with a guy that was also the man that led her husband to the electric chair. Like, we continue to show them more diverse roles and performances. Like, Tina Turner is like the best story, the best life on so many levels, as a woman, as a black woman, as a rock star, as a musician. Didn't get the Academy Award for playing that role, but almost got it for being Queen Ramona. Moving right along, I talked about this a little bit on this week's episode, but I'm going to go into a little bit. Like, Debra Lee, girlfriend. Like, you could have took that to your grave. You know, she's on the promo tour for her memoir, I Am Debra Lee. Debra Lee, for many, many years, was a central figure to the success of BET in the 90s into the 2000s, probably well into the sale of part of it to Viacom, and I think after that. So Debra Lee decides to make a stop by Good Morning America, right? To promote this memoir. And during the course of the interview, she decides, of all the things that she has accomplished in her life, to divulge on a Good Morning show that everybody watches, that her and Bob Johnson the owner, who was the former owner and the creator of BET from its inception, I believe, had a years-long affair while they were both married to their respective spouses. Her superior. Now, Mr. Fox, hi, of the I Refuse podcast, aware of workplace fucking sex, whatever you call it. Like, I, in my history, have never fucked at the workplace. I've sucked at the workplace. I've worked with people, though, that have fucked their supervisor at the workplace. All I'm saying is, right, with that reality, that is possible, that if you're going to fuck up, not down. Continue to fuck up, right? But with that, it's like, you could have took this to your grave. Because, A, BET and those two names meant a lot to people, right? Just image-wise, and the fact that there aren't that many outlets and media, journalism, network television, and even corporate America where there's a lot of this leading the ship or leading the channel. And for many, many years, since I was in grade school, BET, for a long time, most of my life, was on the same level as MTV, VH1, had the music videos down. This is pre-reality show. Was indeed the shit. And they appealed to everybody, right? Then you got the BET Awards. Really good. Like, major in a big way. On the level of like MTV VMAs. Debra Lee, the lady that has TV One, I forget her name, Kathy Hughes. And like Suzanne DePass and Susan Charles, like, these were like people we looked up to. Because, you know, we had the Essence subscriptions, we had the Vibe subscriptions, we had the BET, the TV One, and everybody loves Motown. So it was just like, being a kid or a young adult in high school and seeing this much Black excellence in your life, it's just like, this is great. And it countered the image of Black people, particularly Black men in the 90s. You know, the Rodney King, O.J. Simpson, the crack epidemic. Like, white people were so used to seeing us either in a jerry curl or a gold tooth, shower cap, bandanas, cutting up on the news, being ghetto and loud, talking about, I seen it all. Like, so used to us being and looking like a mess and a threat, right? So, here's Debra Lee. Pretty, gave very much an auntie tease, revered other people, spoke well, very educated. Wardrobe was, you know, here and there. But she, for a long time, exuded elegance. Something that we could all aspire to. Like, oh, I could really be at a channel and look real classy based, right? So for her to go to GMA and not only devalue herself with that kind of tea and throw astray Bob Johnson's direction, it's like, you really like brought yourself down. And it's not like, I don't think there was a high demand for the memoir, because it's like, okay, you were a lady that ran a channel and you would come out at some point during every BET Awards and talk about this is who the humanitarian war is going to go to. It wasn't like she came up on oil or she was like the daughter of Madam C.J. Walker or, hobnob with Richard Branson or was real tight in Buckingham Palace. Like, it wasn't interesting enough for me. Or, Quiet as This Cat is not like she was a Suzanne DePass who, like, mentored the Jackson fucking Five at Motown and was, like, integral part of Motown's resurgence in the 70s. Like, part of the Jackson's American Dream movie, right? Like, I'm just not seeing it. So, for her to throw that in there in order to sell a book, which probably is not going to sell a lot of copies because, A, a lot of black people are probably going to buy the book, but everybody's aware of the Me Too climate, Because here's where he decides that while divulging this information, to put this spin on it that makes her look like the victim. Where she was like, oh, during the affair, once I decided to, like, end it or whatever, he held it against me and held it over my head. Girl. Mind you, she started off the narrative implying that it was consensual. Both parties knew what they were doing. Both parties knew that they were married to other people. And then for her to put that curveball in it in this Me Too climate, it's just like, goddamn. Like, you can't have it both ways. You may try to, but when I say you can't have it both ways, I mean you're playing in our faces. Playing in our faces and got Bob Johnson looking like he was the predator and he was on some Russell Simmons type shit, allegedly, and set it up to where he created a hostile work environment. Do you know this type of shit is why real survivors, real abuse victims, and women that have experienced actual workplace sexual harassment can't come forward? Because it's like The Boy That Cried Wolf, where it's just like you say it once to get everybody's attention, you keep saying it, and it's like nobody's going to believe you. Because of shit like this, it's like it's already not a good look that it happened. Nobody asked for it. You decide to go on Good Morning America and tell us anyway. And throw astray Bob Johnson's direction in order to sell some books about a memoir that none of us really asked for. Like, I didn't go into 2023 foaming at the mouth that Debra Lee was going to release a memoir. I didn't really foam at the mouth that Prince Harry was releasing a memoir. But here's the thing. That's Prince Harry, the son of Princess Diana, the same woman that died in a car accident. And did like all this humanitarian stuff. And the castle, Buckingham Palace at the time, was working against her. I didn't necessarily throw myself on the sword in defense of Prince Harry releasing a memoir, but it's like a lot of y'all out here were showing y'all slip about that, to where it was like, oh, how dare you go against the Buckingham Palace, and nobody wants to listen to this shit, and it's exposing racism, how dare you? And I'm like, y'all do know that a lot of what we're facing in this country these days is a direct line back to the United Kingdom. Y'all know that, right? Like colonialism, colonization, forced compliance, barbaric sacrifices for land, killing minorities, killing people of color, Christopher Columbus, racism, slavery. I haven't even touched the blood diamond trade. Like, a lot of y'all are showing y'all slips, right? Because, like, this is one of those topics or subjects in history that is separating those of us that actually got our assignments back face up in class from those of us that got our assignments folded over back graded to us in class. Like, it's not that hard. So a lot of people, of course, his memoir sold as much as it did because he had to endure a lot of shit before, during, and after his mom's passing. A lot of indoctrinated, traditional microaggressions against him and his fiance and now his wife during that time. But you got some people out here that will pack a bag, push their little carry-on to the little JetBlue flight, go over there to watch Buckingham Palace processions and festivities and lay out on the cobblestone in front of Buckingham Palace like they know who y'all are, and really got dressed to sit on the couch and watch the Queen's funeral. Like, y'all are on their Ancestry.com results. So, Debra Lee, like, girl, I'm pretty sure Bob Johnson done left like 10 voicemails asking why you got him involved. The narrative you put out there definitely borders on libel because it's like you started off talking about it was an affair. Wasn't forced. Y'all both continued it. And then you put that little razzle-dazzle at the tail end of your response that makes Bob Johnson look like some L.A. Reid type of shit. Yeah, that's not cool. Y'all a trip out here when y'all do shit like that. I honestly am not cool with it on so many levels. I might make eye contact with the memoir after 50%'s taken off the book. I'm not foaming at the mouth about it. I haven't read a good memoir since Faith Evans' memoir. That surprised me. I mean, I was curious about some stuff. I'm pretty sure she wants us to believe that her and Tupac didn't smash, but from what I've learned about Tupac and how many women he was connected to, I come to the conclusion that Tupac was an industry pass around. And I love that for him. Like, who bags Madonna and one of Quincy Jones's daughters? And Tupac is fine, or was fine. I'm saying is like he's still alive. So this is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. I'm going to start updating the channel here and there as we continue on the streaming side of things. Season 4 is popping. We're about 23 episodes in over there. Be sure to follow and subscribe. We have a Twitter at I Refuse Podcast. Get those follows in. Follow, subscribe here. And we will catch you guys later. Peace out.